I think it's just something different. I mean, there's a lot of truckers around, but they're mostly doing highway and stuff, and this ice road trucking is just something that's not on anybody's radar.
For 11 seasons, we were all hooked on the high-danger, high-stakes world of ice road trucking. We watched drivers take on some of the planet's most treacherous roads, from the Dalton Highway in Alaska to the frozen lakes of Manitoba. And right, in the middle of it all, one driver consistently stole the show. She was the undisputed queen of the ice roads, a woman who proved over and over that she had the guts, the skill, and the nerve to handle whatever Mother Nature threw at her. Her name is Lisa Kelly. She battled brutal weather, immense pressure, and the constant threat of disaster with a level of grit that earned her respect around the world. But the most dangerous element for Lisa wasn't always the ice. It wasn't the steep grades of the Atagun Pass or the threat of an avalanche. Sometimes, the most challenging obstacle was sitting in the cab of another truck. It was the other personalities. ICE, road truckers, was a masterclass in tension, not just between people and nature, but between the drivers themselves. In a job where one mistake can be fatal and teamwork can mean the difference between life and death, clashing egos create a friction that's more dangerous than any patch of ice. The show was filled with intense moments and simmering rivalries that left fans wondering what was real and what was just for the cameras. Through it all, Lisa Kelly was the consummate professional, rarely letting the drama get to her. But what was really going on behind the scenes? What tensions never made it to the final cut? After years of Lisa staying quiet about the off-camera drama, the stories are finally starting to surface. Now, Lisa herself has never publicly released a list of drivers she couldn't stand. So, let's be clear, this isn't a list from her. Instead, insiders and dedicated fans have pieced together the clues from on-screen interactions and telling interviews. Today, we're connecting the dots and reading between the lines. We're counting down the 5 ice road truckers that the stoic Queen of the Haul Road likely found the most difficult to work with. This is an investigation based on clashing work ethics, opposing philosophies, and personalities that were just destined to collide. This is the story of the feuds the ice couldn't bury. Kicking off our list at number 5 is a driver whose on-screen persona probably grated on Lisa's professional sensibilities. The scrappy, unfiltered, and often chaotic Art Burke. Art joined the cast in Season 7, the same season Lisa returned after a break. He wasn't a rookie, but his approach was a world away from the calm, collected style Lisa was known for. Art was famous for his dark humor, aggressive driving, and a stream of profanity that kept the History Channel's censors busy. He even boasted, "If you can scrap like a bastard, you can be as lippy as you like. I can scrap like a bastard, and I know it." Right there is where the potential friction with Lisa starts. Lisa built her reputation on having to be more professional than her male counterparts. She talked about the pressure of being one of the only women in a male-dominated field, feeling like she had to work twice as hard just to be seen as an equal. Every move she made was scrutinized. Her entire career on the show was about proving. She was more than just eye candy, a label she reportedly fought against from the start. She was there to do a job and do it perfectly. Now, enter Art Burke. Art, to put it mildly, was a bit of a mess and seemed to enjoy it. His driving was often shown as a series of near disasters and frantic recoveries. His most famous moment was in Season 9 when his truck's front wheels broke through the ice, a terrifying situation he met with a flurry of F-bombs and a calm admission that it comes with the territory. For Lisa, who had to be flawless in her safety and execution, watching a driver who seemed to flirt with disaster must have been frustrating. She had to be perfect. Art, it seemed, was celebrated for his flaws. The show leaned into his wild card persona, making his chaotic energy a key part of his appeal, and Art's life off the show didn't exactly scream disciplined professional. In 2020, he pleaded guilty to arson by negligence after an explosion happened while he was trying to make a cannabis concentrate called Shatter with flammable butane. The incident caused over $60,000 in damages. While this was after the show, it points to a level of recklessness that seems completely at odds with Lisa Kelly's whole approach to life and work. The clash here isn't about a direct rivalry. It's a clash of philosophies. Lisa represented the meticulous professional who understood the weight of the job. Art represented the chaotic entertainer whose value to the show seemed tied to how close he could get to the edge. For Lisa, who fought so hard to be taken seriously, it's easy to speculate that she viewed Art's whole act as profoundly irritating. At number 4, we have a driver who shared the screen with Lisa not on the ice roads, but on the treacherous cliffs of South America during Deadliest Roads. His name is G.W. Bowles, and his short time on the show was defined by a volatile temper that was the polar opposite of Lisa's steady hand. G.W., a trucker and part-time comedian from Texas, was a character from day one. He was partnered with Lisa in Bolivia to haul loads down the infamous Yungas Road. The conflict between them was almost immediate and built on professional mistrust. Lisa told G.W. he wouldn't be driving right away, and G.W. later explained, "She's had a lot of bad experiences with guys on the show." That one statement says it all. It shows that Lisa had built up a protective shell and needed to see competence before handing over the keys when her life was on the line. That initial tension escalated quickly. G.W.'s personality, which could be charitably described as overly confident, didn't mix well with Lisa's cautious, led-by-example style. The pressure of the Bolivian roads, arguably more dangerous than the Arctic, started to get to him. The equipment was bad, the roads were unstable, and the risks were huge. The situation blew up in a dramatic on-screen meltdown. Frustrated and overwhelmed, G.W. quit on the spot, walking away from the job and the show in a fit of anger. This is exactly the kind of unprofessional outburst that someone like Lisa Kelly would likely have no patience for. Think about it from her perspective. She endured unreliable trucks and terrifying conditions for years, all while keeping her cool. She took a break from the show after season 5 because the stress had become too much, but she did it quietly and professionally. G.W.'s explosive exit was the opposite of her style. It was loud, emotional, and a total abandonment of responsibility. In trucking, especially with a partner, you just don't walk off the job. For Lisa, who had to prove her reliability at every turn, this would have been a major professional sin. On top of that, other drivers have suggested G.W. was a show-made personality, there more for drama than for his trucking skills. The disdain here would likely come from a complete lack of professional respect. Lisa saw G.W. fail the ultimate test of a trucker, keeping your cool when things go wrong. He cracked under pressure in the most dramatic way possible, confirming her initial gut feeling not to trust him. Climbing to number 3 is a man who made no secret of his strong opinions, Rick Yem. The speculative friction between Rick and Lisa is fascinating because, unlike others, Rick has publicly and directly criticized Lisa, giving us a rare look into the real tensions between cast members. Rick was a recurring face on Ice Road Truckers and Deadliest Roads, often seen as Hugh Rowland's hot-headed sidekick. Rick himself said this was a role producers pushed him into to create drama. This context is important, as it paints a picture of a man already fed up with the fakeness of reality TV. That frustration seems to have colored his view of Lisa Kelly. In an interview, he drew a clear line between seasoned drivers like himself and show-made drivers, a category where he firmly placed Lisa. His main accusation was that she was more interested in being a TV star than a trucker. He then made a bombshell claim about their time in Bolivia. "When we were in Bolivia, I left because she refused to drive," he said. "We're going down a road called the Death Road. She wasn't driving 90% of the time. Every time it got dangerous, she wouldn't drive." This is a direct shot at Lisa's credibility and courage. However, it's crucial to see this through the lens of Rick's own bitterness toward the show. Was his perception skewed, or was he telling a hidden truth? Lisa has talked about the challenges of filming, admitting that production often made them repeat dangerous maneuvers for different camera angles. What Rick saw as a refusal to drive might have been Lisa setting a boundary against a needless, producer-created risk. After all, she was the one who took a season off because of burnout from the pressure of performing for cameras. For Lisa, who fought to prove she wasn't just a TV personality, Rick's accusations must have been the ultimate insult. He was essentially accusing her of being the very thing she was trying to prove she wasn't. A manufactured character who couldn't handle it when the going got tough. It's a classic case of two people seeing the same thing differently. Rick saw a show-made driver, while Lisa likely saw a professional trying to stay alive amid the absurd demands of reality TV. We don't have to speculate much on the mutual dislike here. Rick voiced his side loud and clear, securing the number 2 spot as a driver whose time on the show was short, fiery, and ended in a blaze of controversy. We're talking about Dave Redman. Dave, an experienced trucker from Alabama, joined in Season 5, right when Lisa was hitting peak exhaustion. He was instantly cast as the bad guy with an attitude problem and was ultimately fired on camera. On the surface, he and Lisa didn't interact much. The real issue is what Dave represented and what he did after he was fired. He went to the press and claimed his entire role, including his firing, was scripted by producers. They had scripted me to be the bad guy on the show, he told Truckers News. This puts him on a direct collision course with Lisa Kelly's entire philosophy. Lisa knew about producer influence. She fought against being stereotyped from day one, but she did it by proving them wrong with her skill, working within the flawed system. Dave chose the opposite path. He tried to burn the system down. While some fans might appreciate his honesty, for a company woman like Lisa, who was loyal to the show that made her famous, Dave's actions could easily be seen as a betrayal. He was undermining the credibility of the entire series, and by extension, everyone on it. Dave also claimed that producers tried to manufacture a catfight between Lisa and the other female driver, Maya Sieber, for ratings. According to Dave's unconfirmed account, he and Lisa were both essentially let go in Bolivia after a dispute over unsafe equipment. Both Lisa and Dave were subjected to a chaotic production, but they handled it in opposite ways. Lisa processed her frustrations privately while Dave went public. For someone like Lisa who values privacy and professionalism, Dave Redman's loud crusade against the show would have been a huge problem. In her eyes, he may have been more than just a difficult co-worker. He became an enemy of the brand she helped build. He broke the unwritten rule of reality TV. Don't reveal how the sausage is made. While he saw himself as a whistleblower, it's almost certain Lisa saw him as a disgruntled ex-colleague willing to tear everyone else down with him. And now, the number 1 spot. There can only be one king of this particular road, and he wore the crown of the show's main antagonist for 8 seasons. We are, of course, talking about Hugh Rowland, the polar bear. The rivalry between Lisa and Hugh is the most complex in the show's history. It was a slow-burn feud built on professional disrespect. Hugh was an old-school veteran who saw himself as the top dog, and he viewed nearly every other driver as an inferior. His attitude toward Lisa was, from the start, dismissive and patronizing. In one interview, Hugh made his opinion of her crystal clear. Lisa brought a lot of ratings to the show. Well, they're trying to make a trucker out of her, he said. They're teaching her how to do heavy haul. She'll be a pretty good little trucker when they're done with her. Let's break that down. By this point, Lisa was a seasoned pro who had tackled some of the toughest hauls on the show. Yet, Hugh frames her as a student, a pretty little trucker in training. This wasn't just a casual remark. It was a complete dismissal of her proven skills. It played right into the sexist narrative Lisa had been fighting her entire career. For a woman who had to work twice as hard for half the respect, hearing that must have been infuriating. This was their entire dynamic. Hugh often talked as if Lisa's only value was her ratings potential, rarely acknowledging her as a peer. Their philosophies were also polar opposites. Hugh's motto was, "If you ain't first, you're last." He was all about the bottom line, often portrayed as pushing safety limits to make more money. Lisa, on the other hand, was the ultimate professional. Her focus was always on doing the job safely and correctly. She was the steady tortoise to his reckless hare. After Hugh left the show following a lawsuit against the producers, he became another voice casting doubt on the show's authenticity, a move we know Lisa would likely see as a betrayal. Hugh Rowland represents everything Lisa had to overcome. The old guard attitude that saw her as a novelty instead of a professional. His condescending remarks and different approach to the job created a palpable, unspoken animosity. He wasn't just a rival. He was the gatekeeper of the respect she fought so hard to earn. For all these reasons, Hugh, the polar bear Rowland, tops our list. So there you have it. A look at the speculative feuds and unspoken tensions that simmered just beneath the ice. From professional frustrations with Art Burke's chaos and G.W. Bowles' unprofessionalism to the direct call-outs from Rick Yem and Dave Redman, and finally, the philosophical war with Hugh Rowland. While Lisa Kelly has always kept a professional silence, the evidence tells a story of a woman who entered a man's world and refused to be anything less than the best. The drivers on this list, in one way or another, seem to represent the very obstacles she had to conquer: stereotypes, disrespect, and unprofessionalism. Her potential friction with them wasn't just personal, it was a defense of her skill and her hard-won place as the queen of the ice roads. But what do you think? Did we get the list right? Is there another trucker you think drove Lisa crazy? Let us know in the comments below. And if you love diving into the untold stories of your favorite shows, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. You won't want to miss what we uncover next. Thanks for watching.